Well, good day, everyone. Thank you so much for welcoming me and the other members of my community today. And to start, I'd like to dedicate all good things that happen here today to benefit all beings. My name's Catherine Pawasarat. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. And I'm one of the co-founders, the resident teacher and the chief visionary officer of the Clear Sky Retreat Center, which is outside a small town called Cranbrook in the southeastern corner of British Columbia. We're just northwest of Waterton Glacier International Peace Park, which is the first international peace park in the world, and I think very much worth celebrating. As we all know, all time-tested spiritual practices pursue peace in our hearts and in the world. And with those two things, life is good. Sounds so simple. My late guru and partner, Qapel, as Mariah explained, was Clear Sky's main founder and teacher. He named Clear Sky, our retreat center, after a concept known as Clear Sky Mind. It's worth noting that in Asia, the word for heart and mind are the same, depending on the language, shin or kokoro, and they're both located here in the heart chakra. I like to remind myself that my mind is here. And you know when the sky is a radiant blue and you can see forever, you can see into space, it feels like no obscurations, just that radiant blue. And the mind can feel this way sometimes. Other times the mind may feel burdened, maybe by dullness, maybe by depression, distraction, anxiety. And for some of these, we can learn different techniques to dispel the obscurations. And those are very useful to restore the clear sky mind, what we call the clear sky mind. And there are other risings that aren't really meant to be simply and easily dispelled. For example, the grief at the death of a loved one. It's such a universal human experience, and there's a lot to learn from really feeling that over time. But even in tremendous sadness, we can still remember that no matter what the sky looks like, no matter the storms, no matter the clouds, the gray, behind it all, the sun is still shining radiantly. And the same is true of our mind. In 2004, we purchased the land that Clear Sky is on. It's the traditional lands of the Tanaha people, unceded. We were a group of students, friends, and supporters of my teacher and partner, Qapel, who, as Mariah said, did pass away just in late 2024. And so this has been a very tender time for us. And it's also tender for me to be here in Spokane with you, because Qapel and I enjoyed visiting Spokane together a number of times. So I know he's here with us in spirit. At Clear Sky, we're a very small residential community, and one of the advantages of that, or some of the advantages of being small and being residential, is that we can do a lot of experiments, and we experiment to evolve something that's healthier than consumerism and capitalism. Like what else, how else can we live together? And we have a lot of fun doing this. It's very creative act. And we're really delighted to share what has worked for us to help make our lives, and we believe the planet, just a little bit better. Because even the ocean ultimately consists of just a lot of drops of water. So we like to make drops. Clear Sky has been a really valuable place for us to practice, to live, and to work in conscious community. And we specify conscious community because so much of our practice centers around meditation and cultivation of awareness or mindfulness. We believe that ignorance is one of humanity's greatest causes of suffering, not just humanity. Right? So the more aware we are, the better equipped we are to help alleviate suffering, which is one of the main goals of our Vajrayana Buddhist practice, which is probably our main style of practicing. The other main goal of our Vajrayana Buddhist practice is spiritual enlightenment. And so what does that mean? For us, enlightenment is an actual physiological process, like a body-based process, and an ongoing state of being that is free of unwholesome qualities, in particular greed, hatred, and ignorance. Free of greed, free of hatred, free of ignorance. And as I believe you know, this is actually a natural state. And it's one we've all experienced during the most beautiful moments in our lives. Those incredible moments that we ultimately shape our lives around. When we feel a sense of cosmic unity. Our spiritual practices help this state become longer in duration, with shorter breaks in between, and more resilient, until it's a pervasive state that is more and more difficult to disturb, until ultimately it's imperturbable. This natural state of enlightenment is also called Buddha nature. And I'll come back to that in a minute. We aspire to full enlightenment. There's partial enlightenment and there's full enlightenment. We aspire to full enlightenment because we believe that this is the best way to help alleviate the suffering in the world of humans and non-humans. So Clear Sky gives us 310 acres with crown land that's like national forest on two sides as a venue where we can experiment with how to do this, how to best alleviate suffering in this particular day and age. So the nature of the suffering has changed over time. It's different than it was in the Buddhist time or Jesus' time. Some things are different, some things are the same. And we use our traditional spiritual practices, a lot of meditation, a lot of study, and then we augment these with modern adaptations such as daily hugs, life skills training, ecological restoration, human development theory studies and practices. Shadow integration is very important to us. Healthy food, beauty, aesthetics, and sustainability practices, to name some of them. And as Maria mentioned, because so much of our lives is online now, we also have a virtual platform for teachings and community. And it's called Planet Dharma. Dharma means Buddhist teachings, and it also means natural laws, which Buddhist teachings follow, or meant to follow. We're all in the same boat, we're all on the same planet, and we're all subject to natural laws. And that's why we call it Planet Dharma. So Mariah suggested that I speak to some consistencies between our Buddhist approaches and Unitarian Universalism. So to start with, Unitarian Universalism's beautiful first principle about the inherent worth and dignity of every person has a parallel in Buddhism's belief in Buddha nature, which holds that we humans are fundamentally good, fundamentally pure, and perfect. But a lot of things have happened over our lifetime and maybe lifetimes that have covered our perception and this inherent perfection with veils of obscuration, most notably of greed, hatred, and delusion. For us, the process of meditating, of studying, of training, and of practicing together with qualified teachers and practitioners of all types helps us see through these veils, not be fooled by them, and to perceive and align ourselves instead with the clear sky mind. There are a lot of similarities between Unitarian Universalism's other 6 principles, and Buddhism's Eightfold Ennobling Path. Probably a lot of you are familiar with this. We believe that a person who walks this Eightfold Path becomes a noble person. In other words, an enlightened person, which is why it's called the Ennobling Path. The 8 branches of this path start with complete view. Sometimes it's called right view, sometimes it's called perfect view, but that kind of brings in right and wrong and imperfect and stuff. So we like to say complete, because the Sanskrit word sama is the same root as summit. So you walk to the path and gradually you persevere and you get to the top, so the journey is completed. So I'll use complete here. So complete view. Well, to have a good life, we need to start with a good view, a good perspective. What is our view about life? What is life for? This precious lifetime. We don't know how much time we have. I know that your tradition asks these questions, that you each ask these questions too. We'd argue that this life's purpose is to cultivate ever greater love and kindness, compassion, and wisdom in order to help us be more skilled at helping alleviate suffering. At Clear Sky, we train in ongoing basis in refining our view. We help one another refine our views, because our view or our perspective determines everything else in our life. When we want to go to the moon, we need to have a good view or we'll overshoot it. So we train ourselves and support one another to change how we perceive things, to be ever more and more wholesome. For example, not to make assumptions about other people. As Mariah mentioned, we travel all around the world so that we can meet people ourselves, meet people from other countries ourselves. Like your tradition, cultivate a world community ourselves and better appreciate the incredible wonders of this planet. And then when we hear or see media reports, we have our own experiences to compare them to. We know what it's actually like, and we can share that with other people. We had a great visit to Uzbekistan, which is a Muslim country, and had just such a beautiful experience with Muslim people. It's such a valuable thing in this day and age. We also shape our views by, for example, taking anxiety that we might have about the future of the planet and using it to instead create solutions that we can implement ourselves and replicate. For example, we live in a wildfire environment. So 1 year after we were on evacuation alert, we joined a government program to fire smart our property. Our Fire Smart champion, Maureen, took it further and has organized events for our whole valley to cooperate in case of emergency. And then a communication system's part of that. And Ava here used that when she saw a mother elk caught in a fence. And she called, put out word on the local network, and somebody who knew how to do these things came and got the elk out of the fence. So we can grow this heartwarming feeling of knowing that we are helping one another and other beings to be well. Add up those drops in the ocean. This brings up to Eightfold Path branch number 2, complete intention. Well, our intention is to basically recraft our entire life so that we can fulfill this intention of cultivating ever greater loving kindness, compassion, and wisdom, and the ability to express these skillfully in order to alleviate suffering. Living in community is so great because we can constantly, everyone has good and bad days, and we can constantly inspire and encourage one another to stay the course and keep it real, challenge one another. And to do this, we need Eightfold Path branch number 3, complete speech. We really try to practice skillful speech, kind speech, purposeful speech. We learn to communicate what is actually going on with us. And we also practice better listening skills, which are probably far more important. And of course, communication is not the whole Monty. We want and need complete action, right? We are dedicating our lives to the benefit of all beings. And this is called the Bodhisattva path in our tradition. And bodhisattvas are like the love children of Buddhas and Marvel characters. Yeah. Shazam. But what does this look like? Well, for us, it looks like trusting and caring relationships, learning how to do that. And that's been a long journey. I'd say it easily took us about 15 years to learn how to love and trust one another. So we support one another, like you, we support one another's spiritual unfoldment, our personal and professional unfoldment too, because that's important. Healthy relationships with the community through different kinds of outreach and interaction, healthy economic and professional relationships, financial maturity, business know-how, skills development, and a real commitment to ecological health through our food forest and ecological restoration at our property, which is very close to my heart. Of course, we still need to support ourselves. We want to support others. We want to support all these endeavors. And so that brings us to number 5, complete livelihood. And over the years, and it can take decades, we craft livelihoods that support our spiritual life, that are integrated, and give us vehicles to manifest our spiritual beliefs in the world. You're welcome to ask us more about that, because we love partnering. This requires number 6, complete effort. It's said that bodhisattvas, those Buddhas, come Marvel characters, work tirelessly for the benefit of all beings. And how can we work tirelessly? How can we have such effort? Well, that's because we're equipped with number 7, complete mindfulness. Meditation in particular helps us become more aware, more mindful. And through this awareness, it's very natural to learn to optimize how we take care of ourselves, how we take care of one another, how we take care of others, so that we can best fulfill our efforts to benefit all beings. And that's a very generative act. That actually is an awesome energy feedback loop. And we're able to do this because we've cultivated number 8, complete concentration. This is not the squint your eyes, don't interrupt me now because I'm concentrating kind of concentration. And in Sanskrit, concentration, it's called samadhi, and it's actually calm and concentration. And calm and concentration within 30 seconds leads to bliss. So it's a very pleasant state. It's a flow state where good things unfold naturally because this state is in harmony with the natural laws of the universe. Working in alignment with the universe is really smart because it's easy. The universe does the work. The universe doesn't mind doing the work, right? And it's doing the work anyway, so it makes sense to go with it. As I mentioned at Clear Sky, it's a very small residential conscious community, and I believe that small is beautiful. And I've been truly amazed at how powerful a small group of people can be. And our intention, and maybe this, I think this will never be completed, is to demonstrate what these spiritual values look like in the world today. It has a lot to do with right relationship with each other. It has a lot to do with right relationship with the broader community, the land, the plants, the animals we share the environment with. Of course, they're part of our community too. Good food, safe and clean energy. And all of these are vehicles for our main intention, which is the alleviation of suffering on this exquisite planet that we're all a part of. Thank you so much for having me today. It's been very inspiring and heartening to learn more about Unitarian Universalism through this collaboration. And I wish you and your community the very best in your undertakings, and look forward to how we might be able to continue to support one another. After all, that is what life's all about. May all our efforts benefit all beings. Thank you.